Guys, it is Sunday night, and that means it is Sunday night service. And I am Dani Williamson. I have KK and Madison here tonight from Tennessee Neurofeedback, and I am so excited. You have no idea. I'm going to share a little bit of my journey with them, but we are going to jump right in here in a minute. As soon as you guys get logged on, I want to know where you're from, and make sure you put your questions up, because we're going to have a whirlwind 45 minutes tonight, and we're going to also dedicate a portion of this tonight with questions, Q&A. And because if you don't know what neurofeedback is, if you don't know what brain spotting is, or brain mapping or brain spotting,
both.
Oh, okay. Then you're getting ready to get in for a treat tonight. So I want to know where you're from. I want to hear your questions, and then I'm going to introduce KK here, and she's going to introduce Madison. So tonight is the first time we've had a trio up here, and it's a ton of fun. But listen, guys, I've known about KK for years and years and years, and my patients swear by her. And I have never gone to neurofeedback until just now, post-COVID. So for the headaches that I was having. And I'm going to tell you, if I get a chance to share tonight, it's been a game changer for me. But KK, she is a licensed marriage and family therapist. She's a board certified neurotherapist. She specializes in brain-based treatments and trauma resolution. To me, that's the big part. She's a master trained in brain spotting and which is an innovative new treatment in brain-based therapies. In 2017, she founded Tennessee Neurofeedback when she discovered the ways in which neurofeedback could deeply benefit her clients and individuals seeking trauma resolution and performance enhancement.
Right.
I can't wait to hear about tonight. She's an expert in trauma and human systems, and she works on short, intensive sessions to prevent and to manage crisis. She's the real deal, people. Okay.
Oh.
I had a patient tell me recently, when they knew we were going to be doing this, she said, "Oh my gosh, I can't remember who it was. She told me y'all went to college together, like undergrad."
Oh,
I think.
Really? At Arkansas, maybe. And shout out to Arkansas. I know we've got some of our Arkansans watching.
Yeah. And she said, KK's the real deal, Dani. She's the real deal. I'm so glad you've connected with her. But KK, I'm so excited to have you on here tonight. And then you're going to introduce Madison, what she does for you over there.
And so Tennessee. I could say right back at you, Dani, because I don't know how many years we've all been doing this in Williamson County, but I know that you have treated tons of people that I've seen very successfully, and we're grateful for you being a cutting edge provider out there. So thank you. And working on the whole, when I started this 20 however many years ago, we really cut people off at the chin. We didn't think about brain to body kind of stuff, and hats off to you for figuring that out and bringing that to Middle Tennessee, because I think you're one of our leading edge people on that. So Madison is the brain trust of Tennessee Neurofeedback. Madison is a graduate from Baylor University in psychology and Spanish, but also has her master's in marriage and family therapy from Belmont, and then came to us. And that was a gift from God that she came and she really did a understudy with a person that had read millions and millions of brain maps, and that's the QEEG. She'll tell you about that. But recently, in the last, I guess over a year now, she's been our clinical director and is fabulous with our clients, and also is mentored by one of the pioneers in the field, Dr. Richard Suter, who's in all the books of neurofeedback. And so she really is an expert, and probably, I don't know, she's got a designation now that only about 120 people in the country have. So we are really, really proud of Madison and proud to have her. She knows so much about, more than any of us that have had brain maps want her to know about our brains, but she's been such a gift to me and to Tennessee Neurofeedback and all of our patients there. So we're thrilled to have her, and she really knows much more of an expert type perspective on the brain than I do. So
Madison, I had no idea you were such a fancy pants. I had no clue. When she went over my brain map with me, I thought, oh yeah, I mean, she's smart. And I mean, I didn't know.
well,
I
she
had
ain't
no
gonna
idea.
brag on herself, you know.
It was also new to me. Madison, holy cow. And I probably drive her nuts. I text all the time.
I love
You
it.
know, oh my gosh, my page, I'm running over, whatever. So she's just fabulous. Well, the whole group over there at Tennessee Neurofeedback are fabulous. But I want to jump right into this because we've already got questions up here. So we want to, well, I'll tell you one thing we're going to start off with just immediately. And I don't normally do this, but look at that.
Shane we
Oakley.
love Shane Oakley. Hey,
the Oakleys. We love all the Oakleys,
yes,
but that's a good way to start off. I normally don't do that, but yes, everybody's done it and highly recommend it. Absolutely. Yeah, we love Shane. Okay. What is neurofeedback? We're just going to talk just real open tonight. What is it? What does it do? Who could benefit? I just really want to know. I know they want to know. Everybody wants to know.
Yeah. Well, and don't be surprised if we talk about this for 45 minutes and you walk away going, I don't know what she said or what it is, because the truth is when I found out about it, I thought it was voodoo. I mean, I bought the equipment and everything and I'm like, is this voodoo? So it's a newer technology, brain-based, and Madison will go into all the details, but in a nutshell, what we do is neurofeedback is something that regulates the brain. And so that intrigued me because our profession has gone really rapidly as new treatments, new modalities, new technology has come online. We know that just talking about things, we used to think that we really didn't know how to make people better in the therapeutic world. And now we know so much more about the brain and different treatments. And I'll plug Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, who I'm sure you've talked about, Dani. He actually helped develop the post-traumatic stress disorder diagnosis, PTSD, in the Vietnam. He was in the VA system when all the veterans were coming back from Vietnam and figured out PTSD. And he actually has a new diagnosis coming online that's developmental trauma disorder, which is going to be huge once that's accepted as a real diagnosis. It's not in this diagnostic manual, but will be. But anyway, I went to a training of his, and he kept talking about neurofeedback, and I had never heard that term. I'd heard of biofeedback, and this was almost 5 years ago now. So I had been trained in brain spotting, which is a power therapy. And as you guys are learning more about your therapist and how they do therapy, we have a category of therapy that we're able to get into the deep recesses of the brain and open up trauma and get it processed. Well, Dr. van der Kolk took the power therapy, added neurofeedback to it, and he would call that combination, the brain spotting or EMDR with neurofeedback, he would call that curative. I am not Bessel van der Kolk, so I'm not going to call it curative, but we believe at Tennessee Neurofeedback and as brain spotting practitioners that it is the most powerful combination you can get now. So with that having said, Madison, why don't you tell them what neurofeedback is?
Perfect. Well, I always start the elevator spiel when people ask about this is if you've heard of Ivan Pavlov with the dog and the bells with classical and operant conditioning. Most people in their Psych 101 classes have heard about that, but that's the clinical foundation that started the research behind neurofeedback. So they found that cellular behavior operates the same way as human behavior, animal behavior. When we reward a regulated activity, it wants to keep operating at that level all of the time. So what we always start with is a brain map, or a QEEG. That's the first step of our program, because we don't want to treat people just based off symptomology. We want to see how the brain is actually functioning. So that's a 19-point scan. It's a cap that kind of looks like a slim cap or a shower cap, but it has 19 sensors that are strategically located over the 19 major hubs of the brain. And from there, we take 5 eyes open, 5 eyes closed recordings, compare it back to a normative database, because 17-year-old's brain is going to look different than someone that's 45. And from there, we see what parts of the brain are over or under functioning in these certain frequencies. And so when that starts to happen, that's really the root cause of things like anxiety, depression, PTSD. We can sometimes see indicators of gut-related issues, things like that. And so that's where we design a really detailed protocol where the neurofeedback comes in, which is essentially like physical therapy for the brain. So we're never putting anything in. It's completely self-regulation, drug-free option. In fact, we like a lot of times to help get people off of their medicines or medications. And so there's just sensors that sit right on top of the scalp with a little bit of paste. And from there, it's just recording this EEG frequency right off the scalp. And so clients come in, sit in a really comfortable recliner chair with these 3 sensors. And our kiddos tend to watch a show on Netflix, and the adults tend to watch or close their eyes and listen to some music. But you can do either one. It's just personal preference on which one you choose on that. But the actual training is when those sensors pick up a regulated level of activity. There's a small reinforcement tone, so this soft little beep in the background of the headphones, or the screen they're watching gets brighter in contrast. So those 2 things actually become positive reinforcement to the brain, because they're only happening when the brain is hitting that regulated level. So through the repetition of sessions, it's a learning process to the brain. It starts to learn, every time I hear that beep is when I feel my best, and I want to keep operating at that level all the time. So through sessions, that's where the brain's starting to generate new neurons and new neural pathways, which is what it does when we learn things all the time, and actually helping replace the ones that were dysregulated for whatever reason. We can't ever say what dysregulated the cells. But that's kind of the basic rundown of how it works and what it's doing.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And we could probably say that 4 or 5 times, because it is so new to hear that. But I'm going to say it again, Dani, and I'll just do it in my way of saying it. And then it'll be repetition. And that's what we're doing. Right. We're doing. And as your brain, as y'all are listening, as your brain goes, aha, then that means you've learned something, and there's a new neural pathway there. And so what I would say, the way I say it, is that there's a bucket for therapy. That's what I do. And then there's another bucket for neurofeedback. That's what Madison and Tennessee Neurofeedback does. And the first step of that is QEEG. Well, an EEG is like an EKG of your heart. It measures your electrical waves of your heart. Same thing with the brain. If you've had a child that's had a concussion, or you get an EEG, or if there's some weirdness going on, faint, whatever, a TBI, something like that, you would get an EEG. We do that now in the office. And then we measure it, like Madison was saying, you put on a cap and all that. It takes about 30 minutes. Then it goes through a database, and that database spits out information, and it can inform us. We don't use it as a diagnostic tool, and really we don't believe in diagnosis. We believe in figuring out what causes something. We don't want to label anybody. We just want to get them better. So we look at causality as opposed to symptomology. And in that report, and Madison's trained to look at the different the EEG lines, and the computer gives us all this database. Y'all can tell I'm not technical, but anyway, she can see, is the brain concussed? Do we believe that the brain is anxious? Do we believe the brain is depressed? Does it have a trauma response? Does it have ADD? And that's the soapbox for me, because so many of our kids now have, and hear this, everybody, they have anxiety that looks like ADD. Because when we're anxious and the back of our brain is on fire, we can't focus as humans. And then what happens is we medicate kids, or even adults, with a stimulant, which makes them more anxious. And so then guess what happens? Here comes the soapbox. An 18-year-old who doesn't like how a stimulant makes him feel, the first minute he gets a puff of weed or a drink that calms his brain down, he's off to the races as an addict. So we want to prevent that early on, so we can tell, is it true ADD, or is it attention deficit from anxiety. So you treat it totally different. Okay, so that's the brain map. It will inform you of all of these things. Then that gives Madison and our team the way that we're going to train. And then you do 40 to 60 sessions. That's the long haul. And we know that research tells us that if we can get 40 to 60 sessions in, then that brain is going to hold unless there's a new trauma or new event, those kind of things. And then we train it. And one of the things that we've learned in my career is we didn't used to think the brain could change. And Dani, I bet you remember this too, that we just thought the brain was what it was. And now we know that the brain can heal itself. The brain really wants to heal itself. And I know you guys are all sitting out there going, this is so interesting. Well, how come? It's because the brain really wants to learn about itself. It's not that we're like these great speakers. It's the brain is glued into what can I do to get better. So
yes.
So anyway, what we do, and as Madison said, it's like working out or going to physical therapy. And remember, we don't do any input. We're not putting electricity in your brain. The brain is strengthening itself. And over time, those new neural pathways get strong and the old ones slough off in the sleep cycle. And that's another thing that neurofeedback is really good for, is bringing sleep back online. And all of us through COVID, many of us have had horrible insomnia. So we calm the brain down enough so that it can sleep and get restorative sleep. So the only other thing I would say, and Madison, you might want to go into this more, but what we do is every 20 sessions, we remap you. So you come back in and you do another QEEG, and we show you how much your brain has changed. And usually by 12 to 15 sessions, it's real subtle change, but you're like, wow, that trigger didn't cause me to flip my lid, or I slept so much better last night, things like that. So, okay, so that's kind of it. And so every 20 sessions we show you and give you the quantitative report of it being your changes and where those changes were. Okay, that's my spiel.
You know, I didn't even think about sleeping better because I was really am there for the headaches. I have slept better. I've told many people this. I have slept better recently than I have in years since going through menopause. That has to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Is the neurofeedback.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Okay. That's okay. So, what conditions? Because we have several people talking about things up here. We're going to throw a few questions in here while we're doing this then, because let me take our names off of here. Do you have information to help Alzheimer's or dementia? Well, that's an interesting, Jacinda, that's interesting because, that's what I'm struggling with my mom. Yeah. Do we have any?
Madison, you want to grab that one?
Sure, I can. So the big thing, there is some reason. I mean, there's still a ton of research coming out about this, as always. But it can help a little bit slow down some of the inflammatory processes that take place with Alzheimer's and dementia. We can see on the EEG if there's early patterns for people. I have had several family members who have that in their history, and we can kind of look at QEEG and see if they have some of the early onset patterns. There isn't a ton of research as far as, curative to taking away all the symptoms, but it can help slow down some of that process, help with some of the cognitive impairments, memory function, and things like that.
One thing I'll jump on as a personal plug on that is my mother had 3 surgeries in 1 year, and she could not remember anything. And her surgeries were gut related. So we put her on a pretty intensive neurofeedback regimen, and she's back to how she was. She's a very bright woman, back how she was before the surgeries. And what it looked like was dementia and short-term memory. And I can always tell if I haven't done neurofeedback for a while, I always skid into people's names, like last names come first and then the first names. And I do a few sessions, calm my brain down, and my short-term memory comes back online. So it really does make a difference.
Wow. Okay. So that's going to get me into it.
Yeah. The QEEG will show if you have, if you are are at a deficit from the norm for your short-term, long-term, all the different kind of memories that we have. And we can show you over those 20 sessions or 40 how you improve on that. But typically people recognize it anyway.
I can't wait to see what mine shows. I'm so excited. Derek Meyer says, great point. Okay, so Derek is a chiropractor who used to be in practice with me. He's back in Ohio now. One of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. It is a living, changing, learning organ, and it wants to heal. It sure does. Listen to this. So many sports med and neurologists need to utilize this proactively, he says.
Yes.
Amen to that. Let's talk a little bit about, because I see a lot of kids in the office who've had traumatic brain injuries, concussions. I see a lot of soccer players, basketball players, volleyball players, lacrosse players, and all these kids have been concussed.
Yes.
I mean, just have. Talked about that with concussions.
And I'm going to let Madison talk to you about how the brain gets the shearing on it. But what I would say is, please don't assume that you haven't had a concussion if the neurologists say it's not at the testing doesn't show at that level. The bottom line is, if your brain is jarred, you've probably had some level of concussion. And what we know, I went to a seminar of a guy that is a pioneer in the field, and he studied youth athletes in the hockey world, and most all of them had concussions, and none of them knew it. And he could even determine from the QEEG where they were going to have deficits on the hockey on the ice. So what direction they might not be able to remove, those kind of things. So and he would say that neurofeedback is one of the most effective things. And what we also know now is that you do not wait. Used to, they would say, wait 2 or 3 weeks, wait 2 or 3 weeks.
That's right.
You don't wait, because the calcium just goes all over the brain from that injury. So we want to really get ahead of it. But Madison, talk about how that concussion affects the brain. How concussions affect the brain.
There's a couple of patterns that we can see, and that does happen a lot, that I'll ask a screening question just based off the map of, do you have a history of a head injury? And you'd be surprised how many people say no. And then as I start asking, they either play contact sports or been in a car accident, but it wasn't formally diagnosed. But there are some patterns with certain frequencies that start to get adjusted. And it's because we have these 2 bony saddles right on the inside above our temporal lobes. So that's one of the most common places we see residual head injury effects, is there's this shearing that happens from when the brain shifts forward and backwards in the skull. And so we do see a lot of that in the clinic with kids coming in, or sports, especially related injuries, and can do some good work with that, helping with the inflammation that comes from that.
Absolutely.
And one thing to note is that with concussions in kids, you see behavioral changes a lot, and people don't typically draw a line to that. Many times you'll see, a kid's personality almost change, and that's because of the concussion. And you see them come back to light. We've had somebody call their kid a 2.0 because once they got the neurofeedback done, they were just back to really a different kid. I don't know if that was for sure a TBI on that one. That
was a different one, but still, we have had that happen.
Janet says she has an extremely large meningioma, posterior fossa. I have a severe tinnitus. Doctor says it's from my brain. Can you help with this? Okay, so tinnitus or tinnitus is a mess to deal with.
Yes.
Does neurofeedback help with that? Have you seen response from that? Because if you have, I am sending everybody that direction, because that's a hard one.
It's hard for us too. We have a folder to track as one of the symptoms that can get better. I've actually seen it improve is when it's truly anxiety based. So people are highly anxious, and that's where it's not an inner ear issue or coming from something else. But so I've had half results come from it and half say, that didn't really touch it. Yeah, it's really hard. I think stress and anxiety make it much worse. Yeah. My son struggles with it after a loud gunshot. Shooting guns. But when he is stressed, it is much worse. Much worse. Yes, and that's right, Dr. Ryden. This is Dr. Ryden on here. So many causes. That's exactly right.
Does it help with fibromyalgia? Mindy wants to know.
Yes, we have had several people come in and have some good results with that. There's a frequency, the beta frequency, which is the fastest one we look at. But when we start have a way too much overactivity of those faster frequencies, it is correlated with inflammation in the system, but also a lot of pain, chronic pain. And so sometimes when we can help calm some of that down, people have seen some nice results with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yes, Carrie, I agree. It's powerful information. This is fascinating. The brain, we know so little about the brain. When I was in school, and maybe still now, we know so little about it.
Yes.
It's fascinating. And like you said, the brain wants to heal. It wants to heal.
Mm-hmm.
It's when the gut is inflamed. So for me, I work so much with the gut-brain axis, right? And I tell my patients every day, they come in with anxiety, depression, trichotillomania, right? Pulling your hair out, pulling your eyelashes out, ADD, ADHD, bipolar, schizophrenia. I mean, the list goes on and on. Psych issues. When the gut's inflamed, the brain's inflamed. And when you heal the gut, your serotonin is in the gut for the most part, it's in the small intestine. And when the small intestine's inflamed, the brain is inflamed. And when when we heal the gut and the brain, it's a bidirectional 100% connection. I mean, there's no getting away from it. They work hand in hand together. And you have to heal the gut, right? With what I do.
Yes.
And I would think for you too, you're going to see better results with neurofeedback when a patient is eating an anti-inflammatory diet.
Yes.
Cutting out gluten, dairy, sugar would be huge,
yes,
right?
That's it.
They're sleeping at night, they're exercising, they're decreasing stress, they have community, they found joy and gratitude in their life. I mean, they're pooping, right? You only see better results with neurofeedback.
And it's really it's too big of an investment of time and money to not go all in like that. So we ask people to do exactly what you do, and get their gut healed, get off sugar, start regimenting their screen time, all of those things, because we want a positive outcome. And what we see is when you treat all those spokes in the wheel, those people get so much better, so much quickly. And those are, those are the results that the other thing I would add to the, when we don't see as good an outcome, we always see great outcomes. I mean, very seldom do we ever have somebody that doesn't feel better. I don't know of a case that we haven't had good outcomes, but there's also a family system component that I would say that we really want to pay attention to. And this is especially, and I see you smiling, Dani, on that, because you know it. And here's the thing about it is that many times you get a kid who is the identified patient, and we're all thinking he's off his rocker, but the truth is his brain is behaving appropriately for the stress he's living in his family system. So many times what we suggest is, if a kid is the identified patient, we want to look at that parenting system and say, what can we do there, and maybe calm the parenting system down, or maybe even identify the parenting system as the issue and treat that first. Because a kid's brain is never, think about this. A kid doesn't even have a brain developed till they're 25. And we're asking them not to act a fool when the parents are acting a fool. And so exactly we want to calm that down. And a lot of times you see that brain come right online because the brain is acting like it's supposed to in a crazy system. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense. I tell women every day, that are married, I'm like, you're not technically the head of the household. I'm a single parent. I am the head of the household, but you set the tone for that entire home. And when you are acting crazy, just off the rails, off the rocker, the entire family acts that way.
Well,
and
it has.
We set the tone.
Yes, I'm sorry I interrupted you. We even know it goes back to pre-pregnancy. We can
You
identify
bet.
anxiety disorders pre-pregnancy for those babies. So people will say, well, we don't fight in front of our kids. It doesn't matter. What we used to think was hokey as talking about energy fields in a home. those energy fields are real. Kids can feel it, and they just respond. They don't have neural pathways on how to know how to act. We have to input that, and so
Yes.
that's a real a must for us at Tennessee Neurofeedback. Let's make sure that the family system, with making the kind of investment of time and money that you do, and I know that you feel that way, Dani. You know, when you treat somebody on their gut issues and you go to Publix and you see them buying sugar drinks and frosted Cheerios, you're like, the outcome will not be there.
Absolutely. You got that. Yes. Oh, Karen says she was super stressed and exhausted and it helped me tons. Amen. You guys, Karen is my publisher. I had no idea she was going to be on here today. She's with Morgan James. So you all need to buy that book. When we get off here, don't you get off here right now. When we get off here, you need to click the link and buy Wild and Well, because
we are excited for it. And we do love Karen Anderson too. Karen goes way back pre-therapy for me. She helped raise me, I think I would say, at Christ Community.
Let me tell you, she's the real deal. This one is right here. And she's responsible for me getting that book, getting a publishing deal. So there we go, right there. Okay. So we've had a few questions on here. Oh, wait, we got this one right here. Let's get this up here. Autism and ADHD.
You go with that, Madison.
Okay. So there's actually a lot of research coming out with autism. There's Dr. Coben has done a lot of work with this, and that there's a lot of signatures in the brain about over communication. It's called interconnectivity. That's highly associated with autism and autistic behaviors. And they've actually seen a lot of really good work when you can break up this hypercommunication between brain regions to reduce a lot of stuff that just comes with an autistic disorder, hypersensitivities, a lot of times even with social behaviors. One of our very first clients that we worked with has had some amazing results and was on the spectrum when he came to us, and now plays bowling on his high school team, walked up and introduced himself to the coach, made direct eye contact. And then as far as ADD and ADHD, that's one of the most well-known and well-researched in neurofeedback. It was one of the first ones that they really started with, was bringing down this.
Really?
We get a lot of sleepy activity in the front part of our brain, which is why a stimulant works for those kids. But when we can train that, we've had people have reversed diagnoses from ADD and ADHD.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, there you go, Melissa. You got your answer on that one right here. Okay. So this is one that I've seen pop up a couple of times about insurance, and they always ask the same thing about me as well.
Yeah. And I'll do a shout out on this. We have seen maybe a slight uptick of companies that will cover, they'll pick insurance will pay. You typically see the owners of those companies have kids with autism or disorders that they've seen benefit, so they'll add it. There's a couple of music labels in town, and Microsoft is a big, well, their insurance pays. But I would also say we've seen some mamas that are bulldogs that will sit in front of those insurance committees until they are cross-eyed and get those committees to pay. But it's not for the faint of heart. And here's the problem, and not to step on anybody's toes, but because neurofeedback is so effective, and many treatment centers, many pharmaceutical companies are based on relapse. They don't want curative. And so we have a collusion between big pharma, big insurance that is really preventing us from getting huge research studies. There's tons of research that's very, very good, but to get the big research dollars to do neurofeedback studies, it has to come from stronger lobby groups than neurofeedback has. But so the answer is no, but I will say that we love to hear stories about people and how where they are and what they need. And at Tennessee Neurofeedback, we give about 35% of our care away. So we don't like to turn people away if we can keep from it. Of course, it's a business, and we have to stay in business. But we do want to help people. And Madison makes very affordable payment plans, those kind of things. So at least investigate it with us. And we will, we don't help with your insurance, but we'll give you all the codes to go back and look and see if that works.
And I tell everyone, even in my office, when they call about labs or things, I don't know because I don't file insurance, but you also have to take the initiative and call your insurance company, get the get the information you need from me or from you, and call the insurance and find out and
bulldog them.
Bulldog. That's right.
Yes, because we've seen some mamas that have gotten their kids some great care because they just wouldn't stop. And I think eventually they're going to have to look at this as a non-medicine, because we have such a medicine crisis.
That's exactly right. You're exactly right. We're getting there. I didn't know about that new diagnosis you were talking about that you said.
Mm-hmm. Developmental trauma. And when I first started in this profession, we didn't even really consider family of origin issues. And now with and I would say, if any of y'all have not heard of the adverse childhood experience study, and you probably talk about this all the time.
I have a whole Sunday night service on adverse childhood experiences.
Yes.
And one entire section of the new book is on adverse childhood experiences. Do you know that I was not taught one time in school about ACEs? Every single new patient in my office now, as of the last 18 months, gets an ACE questionnaire. Every single person.
That's good. And I'll say this, I don't know how I fell into it, but I listened to a TED Talk. The first TED Talk I ever listened to was, and I should be able to call her name, but it totally rocked my world on this.
The pediatrician in San Francisco?
Yeah, she's in charge of all that. Nadine Burks, I think is her name. But,
yep.
But it just made me not feel crazy anymore. Yep. And that's that began my pathway on trauma healing for myself, was understanding that the brain is, and now we can tell from the scans and from EEGs and everything that the brain is injured by childhood trauma. And it's not, I would say, and y'all can tell I'm on a soapbox, but trauma, I don't designate little trauma, little t. You hear sometimes people saying little t, big t's. I don't do that. We just know that the brain, it's an egregious affront to the brain when there's unprocessed negative experiences that need to be healed. And that's what we want to go about. And when you hear me say that, you guys that are listening, please don't go to a place of shame, because many of us have traumatized our kids. We've traumatized ourselves. We've traumatized our spouses and our families. We don't have time for that. Let's just get it figured out and move forward on getting the healing.
Bingo. Wow. So during treatment, do you recommend counseling to help cope with emotion? I think so.
Yeah, 100%. And even Madison is aware, like she can, because she can read the voodoo. She can tell when people have the trauma they've been holding in the back of their brains for over the lifespan. So we can tell how traumatized the brain is. And sometimes, and Vanderkolk talks about this too, there's kind of a rhythm to it. There's some people that need to do neurofeedback first to get their limbic system calmed down enough that they can even take in information and process. There's some people that can do it in conjunction. So, and then there's some people that have done therapy for years without relief, and there's not a need for that at that point. But to answer that question, yes, what happens is your brain begins to heal. It says, okay, those experiences that I had in my past that are unprocessed, my brain, I'm capable of processing those now. So many times you'll get memories or things will come up that the brain says, oh, I can process that now. And for that, you need to be sitting with somebody that's trained. And we watch that very closely. I mean, we don't want anybody to be without a therapist that has a history of trauma. And we want them to be with a therapist that understands power therapy, which is EMDR or brain spotting, besides just talk therapy, because we want it out. We want it processed. So So how do you know if trauma is resolved? And that is, does your body remember it as present tense, or does your body remember it as past tense, third person? So if you bring up a story and you're about to pass out or vomit or can't even get it out, that means it's still first person. Your brain is scanning it, saying this is still current. And what we want is to move it to past tense, third person. It's not that you're going to forget the memory. It's just that it's not going to be sitting in your chest or in your throat or in your gut anymore. It's going to be processed to past tense.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's interesting, because yesterday, so I have purchased my family property that I grew up on, and which was not good, right? I was molested by one stepfather. I was nearly beat to death one night by the second stepfather, third husband, my senior year. I mean, just one mess after another. And I've spent the last year and a half cleaning on a house and throwing out things. And I spent all weekend, this weekend, just came home today from being in my bedroom that I grew up in, standing, cleaning this closet out in the exact same space that my mother looked me square in the eye and said, when I was 13 years old, she said, "You caused me to lose the only man I ever loved." That was the child molester, her second husband. So I have processed through all of this the last 18 months with my mom being in assisted living and me being on this property, because I spent as little time on that property as I had to the last 35 years. My good friend Holly came over yesterday and walked the property with me in the house. She said, and she knows my history, and she said, how do you feel about this? You just bought the home that you have no good memories in. But I had never thought about the first tense or third. What did you say? Present tense or
it's first person present tense, or is it third person past tense?
Third person past tense is exactly how I have been feeling when I also went to on-site, and I told you that, so worked through a lot of things. But I have not had that sad. I mean, it's an interesting feeling. It's an interesting feeling to be in a place, and I feel real certain that the last 6 weeks or whatever of neurofeedback have helped me with this, because I spent more time there this weekend and today than I have in the whole 18 months solid. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So I feel like I've done the hard work. I've been through EMDR. I've been through experiential therapy, 6 days at on-site. I've done a lot of work, but I never thought of it as that present tense, past tense.
And see, you're probably primed for neurofeedback to continue to calm that limbic system down.
Interesting. Calm all weekend. I was as calm as anything, but I have stood in that room before a year and a half ago and almost wanted to vomit, because I was literally at the closet door. I mean, I can see it as clear as day, but it doesn't cause I haven't even thought about that until you just mentioned it.
Yeah. And that's read The Body Keeps the Score.
Yes.
If you're listening to that out and it's a hard read, but it'll make you feel like you're not crazy. So that's the model, Dani. And really what we're probably doing is giving you the full loop now that you've done all of that hard work. And now that, and you'll see it in your brain map, that it's probably that if you had the limbic system jack up, which I did, it'll probably be lessened.
Wow. That's great. I tell you what. Okay. What else? Okay. I did have a question for you. So 20 sessions. So how does this go on forever and ever? How does this work?
That's a great question. And Madison, you might want to weigh in on this too. But what we know is that 40 to 60 sessions gives us enough time to change and heal and hold and those terms probably are not scientific, the change. Now, what I would say, what we've seen some, all bets were unless you have new trauma. So a new TBI or a new traumatic event or series of events or a global pandemic. So what we've seen is many people have been, I know I have been tremendously anxious through all of this. And then the political upheaval, all of these layers of things that we've been through. So what I would say is, and Madison, you weigh in on this, but some of those people that we have treated, including myself, I've come back to do some more sessions just to get regulated again from what has happened over the last 14 months. But for the most part, we will end your treatment with 40 to 60 sessions with a brain map that shows how much change you've had. And the expectation from the research, and actually we've been doing it 4 years and have seen this bear out, that it does hold.
Okay. That's interesting what you said about the memory part of it, because I was talking to a patient's sister this week. I have a real hard time with names. I always have. I've never made an excuse about it. My kids know if they're with me and somebody walks up to me in public, they're supposed to put their hand up and say, "Hi, I'm Jackson. Hi, I'm Ella. I'm Danny's daughter or son." And that way it'll trigger them. Anyway, but I asked this patient about her sister's boyfriend. What? I don't know, or really. And I said, "Well, how's so-and-so?" or whatever. And she said, "How do you remember his name?" I swear to you, it's all coming back to me right now. It's probably all of this neurofeedback I've been doing since post-COVID.
Yeah.
So post-COVID, have you seen an uptick in clients saying, because the headaches, migraine, I mean, I've never had a migraine a day in my life, ever, until COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it has helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this, we have not seen a downtick.
Okay.
So
Wow.
And yes, we have seen an uptick. But we just feel like Middle Tennessee, and you can weigh in on this, Danny, is a very sophisticated, holistic, smart population that does their research and looks for the things that can, and in particular to help their children too. But what
You bet.
we have seen, yes, we've seen that, and Madison stays in touch with the COVID brain and what's going on with that. And Madison, have y'all identified some signatures from that on the EEG?
There are some that we've kind of seen some stuff that seems to be, but there's also, it's just like we hear on the news and stuff, there's a million different people with different maps have shown up on these talks I get on each week, but there are some that we've seen are common.
Yeah.
Well, it's a shame. I don't know if it helps with hair loss or not, but that's a worldwide epidemic right now, is hair loss. And I'm watching people's Instagrams and people, and it's all over the world. People are losing their hair in droves. Post-COVID, also just the stress of COVID. I don't know. It can help through the back door with hair loss.
Right. The anxiety component of it, for sure.
By calming the brain down.
Yeah.
Okay. What else would you all like to? Here's how we get in touch for sure with them. So you guys need to take a picture of this. It's all up here on the screen. Somebody actually type it in for me if you don't mind. What else do you want to share before we close it out tonight? I am so excited.
Well, we're grateful for anybody that's listening to us. We are thrilled. We feel like we have a good way to administer the trainings, and we have an incredible staff. I would say, I'll shout out to our staff. Within 3 months of employment, you have to be certified to administer the training, and so we take best practices very seriously, and we don't mess around. We stay strictly with what the BCIA, which is the pseudo governing board. They don't have a lot of power, but we really want to keep the profession pure, and we work really hard at that. We take your care very seriously.
I can attest to that. Every single person in there. It's what I was telling KK. I mean, I'm so professional, so on top of it. Yeah, I'm highly impressed.
Well, it's such a gift that you let us come on tonight, Danny. We're so grateful, and I think we were going to announce maybe that anybody that called in the next few days, just say that you saw us on here and just mention Danny, and we'll do a 10% discount for the brain map. But we have no problem going over pricing and all that. Just let us know through the phone or website.
Okay, I'm going to share this right here. if you mention Danny,
Yeah, mention Danny.
just give them the code Wild and Well. There we go. That's the name of the book.
Yeah.
Give them the code Wild and Well. They'll know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, we'll put that book up here for y'all to do as well. Yeah, guys, you won't be disappointed. And you can see several people that I know who commented on here. I've never had anyone come back to the office to me and say, I wish I hadn't have done that.
Oh,
it was a major waste of money.
Thank you for saying
and that's incredible. That says something for you. And she's not the only person out there, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think, and I would only go to the best. And so I think they're the best. And that's just how.
If we're not, we want to know. It took me a lot of years to take feedback, but I'm learning to take feedback. So let us know if it's not the best.
Hook up an electrode for that to be able to.
Right.
Well, it's hard. It's hard because this is your business. And, you know, we take it personally. We put our heart and soul into this. But we do need to know feedback, and we do need to hear feedback. And I'm just telling you right now that they're the real deal. Madison and KK and her entire team are there to help you feel better, because, you know, if you don't feel better, then, what are they doing this for? And so, feedback about feedback. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that's
that's Dr. Ryden. Dr. Ryden has opened up a new practice. For Health Medicine. That's right. For Health Medicine. I forget every time.
Is she local? Is she here?
Oh, she's right. But she's right next door to me at the office. I just did a Facebook Live with her. Oh my gosh, she wants to specialize in brain health. KK, you've got to meet Dr. Ryden.
Okay. We will call you tomorrow, Dr. Ryden, for sure.
Okay. All right. Dr. Ryden, put your phone number up there. So, yes, this has been extremely Jacinda, informative. Yes. And she's going to call and come in. Absolutely. So, yeah, Dr. Ryden she loves the brain, and that's her thing. So we need to just get you guys together.
Wonderful.
All right. I'm going to share this. I'm so grateful you were here. Guys, if you all have any questions, post your questions up here, and KK and Madison will have this on their Tennessee Neurofeedback Facebook page. They have a fantastic page. Go follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, we're on both. We're on both. And if you have questions, just message us or call us. We will spend time answering your questions. So just give us the buzz.
Amanda says she left you guys Dr. Ryden did. She left you guys a message on your website.
Well, awesome.
Okay.
We'll be in touch.
Everybody loves Tennessee Neurofeedback, guys. All right, listen, I have an amazing announcement for tomorrow night. I just got it confirmed while I'm sitting here talking to you all, actually. So next Sunday night is Easter, and I had Leanne Morgan booked next Sunday night. Leanne Morgan, if y'all don't know her, she is a nationally famous comedian. She lives in Knoxville, Tennessee. She is one of the funniest people you will ever meet in your life. She has a podcast called Sweaty and Pissed, and it's about going through menopause. Leanne Morgan is a rock star. We are doing my Sunday night service tomorrow night instead of next Sunday because it's Easter. We're going to be live at 6 p.m. tomorrow night right here, Dani Williamson Wellness. Leanne says, let's do it tomorrow night. I'll share it. Thank you for being so flexible. So It's Easter. We can't do it on Easter Sunday, for crying out loud. So we are going to do it tomorrow night. Now, I need every single one of you. You know, she's got like 1.2 million followers on Facebook and Instagram combined. She has been a proponent of mine from the beginning. I don't know how she found out about me, but it's going to be hilarious. We're going to talk about hot flashes, menopause. We're going to talk about aging parents. We're going to talk about our kids. I'm going to let her just entertain you. It's going to be a totally different Sunday night service. It's going to be a Facebook Live with Leanne Morgan, and we're going to pee our pants, and I'm going to need extra neurofeedback to help with urinary incontinence because okay. So anyway, guys, as a sidebar, apparently it helps with urinary incontinence because I have not peed all over myself nearly as much as I was. And this was a question on one of your questionnaires.
It's true because bedwetting and migraines are 2 reasons that insurance will pay for neurofeedback. True.
Well, I don't pee the bed, but I pee myself.
Well, just pee yourself in the bed, and then
I'm going to go pee in my very expensive avocado mattress tonight, and I'm gonna oh my gosh, I had no idea. Bedwetting. Well, I mean, it's bound to come as the older I get. But anyway, Leanne Morgan's tomorrow night. I am so excited. 6 p.m. Guys, you guys need to put the kids wherever. Well, you don't have to have the kids. You don't have to put them up. Whatever it takes, I need you all live on here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. because we want to show her tons of love. On Instagram this week, I am talking 6 days on adrenal fatigue. 6 days. It starts tomorrow and it goes all the way through next Saturday. I just videoed all 6 videos and all 6 today. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, you need to go to Dani Williamson Wellness and like and follow or whatever you do, because this is going to be a really good one. And the book, I shared the link to the book. You guys need to go buy the book as soon as we get off of here. But yes, Leanne Morgan is how I found you. Yes, she did. She wished me happy birthday on Instagram and it just blew up. Her tribe did, following us. And I'm so blessed because you all have been such a great support to Dani Williamson Wellness. But yeah, so tomorrow night, you guys, it'll be great. KK and Madison, any final last words on neurofeedback and what you do?
No, just thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. Yes, Cindy, I agree. Thank you. And guys, check them out. Don't forget, if you call them or email them, and if you mention that you saw this on Dani's Sunday night service, you get 10% off your brain mapping, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we'd love to do that.
Yeah, and if you're bald-headed, they love you even more.
That's right.
Because this hair is very difficult to get 19 sensors in.
That's true, but we did.
Oh, Lord. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Don't go anywhere. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night back here at 6 p.m. with the one and only Leanne Morgan.